Welcome everyone, this is a meeting of the Heber Light and Power Board. Today is March 25th, 2026. It's now 4 p.m. and we're beginning the meeting. I want to welcome the Heber Light and Power Board members that are here in attendance. We have Kendall Crittenden, Mayor Craig Simons, myself Heidi Franco, Mayor Doug Clements, Morgan Murdoch. We also have many of our staff and visitors here that will be introduced. Hopefully Aaron Sheepley will join us soon. Everyone, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, the February 2026 board meeting minutes, the February financial statements and warrants from 2026. I would just like to say that, Riley, on the minutes, if we could add the time of when we went into closed session and when we came out of closed session, I think that would be great. Does anyone else have any other comments or questions on the consent agenda?
I would approve the consent agenda as printed with the addition that Mayor Franco's asked for on those.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further comments? And Aaron's not online, right? Okay. We'll just go around the table, please, for the vote, starting with you, Kendall.
Yes.
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 Thank you. That passes 5-0. I forgot to mention that we will have a closed session before the 6 p.m. board training, just so everyone knows. And don't let me forget, okay? The second, we have guests here, is a discussion on the land leasing to the Heber Valley Railroad. And we have Mark Nelson and Parker Wilson here. Mark, do you want to come up and join us? Parker, do you want to come on up and sit also? Jason, do you want to kick this off, or do you want to let Mark?
It's Mark's ask.
Okay, Mark.
Okay.
We'll turn it over to you.
All right. So first, thank you all for working with us in this process. And just a very quick recap. We've been talking about moving the fence to provide the Heber Valley Railroad with a little bit more property that we can use for our train purposes in the future. And the most recent thing that has happened is someone came and surveyed the property. The image that you're showing here, I think, was probably a drawing that I did that was a request for, an approximate request of the ground that we were interested in. I didn't bring any of the other drawings, but the surveyed drawing came back and basically drew a straight line 40 feet in from the existing fence line.
On the west of it or east of it?
On the west of it.
Do you want to enlarge
It's
that
the
just a
hatched
bit more?
portion.
That's
It's
the
this
hatched,
hatched portion is
Yeah.
what was surveyed.
So instead of that jog back to the west, it'd go straight down that line more.
So
It's 40 feet off the line.
right, so that's that 40-foot line, and then when we looked at that, I came back to Heber Light and Power, if you'll allow me to walk up
If
here.
you can just enlarge that
Might
just a
be
touch,
easier.
Jason, thank you.
And what I suggested is, would it be possible to go at some point, would it be possible to draw the line from the edge of this gate? This is where the existing gate is that comes on, and comes down and maybe meets here where the angle changes, or somewhere to put that. And so that was my reply, or my comeback, was a request for that the hatched part, the 40 feet would be fine, would work great. We're very, very thankful for that. And that if it would work to maybe draw the line up to the gate edge and add that much more on the end there. And that's the request of the railroad for you to consider.
Well, it wouldn't be that much more, it'd be less if you slide that west line over to the gate. It'd be a little bit less than what
Yes.
that drawing shows.
Yes.
Well, yeah, the big bold red line, if you just, sorry, let me come up here again. So the property that I think that you suggested yes, that's great, so none of this, but it follows this line up to here and wherever that turns, so here somewhere, maybe it doesn't turn, but, this angles, wherever that turns, if we could draw some kind of line down to
Yeah.
here, maybe it's parallel to
That's
this,
property.
Yes,
or something like that.
yes. Now, Jason, we've discussed this in audit committee. Are you, do you want to tell us, just reaffirm, that if that were to happen from the gate east side straight down to the 40-foot hash mark and then continuing with the 40 feet, is that going to disrupt the Phase 2 campus improvements?
Oh, like I said, we're both fighting for land here, right? It's not like I have a lot to give away. What we talked about with the surveyor is what's surveyed, and that's, we can do that. I don't know that I wanna go any further.
Okay, so you're saying not to the gate, but to stick to the 40 feet originally?
Yeah, I'd like to keep the gate.
Yes, the gate on the east side. He's asking up to the gate on just the east side. So
Yeah.
will that extra, I don't know, is it 8 feet more? Is it 10 feet?
Whatever the width of that gate
Yeah,
is.
well, the hatched part is 40 feet, so it
Yes.
looks like it could be at that edge, more like
5?
15 to 20.
Yeah.
On the east side of the gate?
Yeah.
40 feet, 20 feet, looks like it's 10 to me, or less.
From right there.
Yeah, from right there.
Well, so from the railroad's point of view, we're very grateful you're even talking to us. We're very thankful for the opportunity that we have.
Yeah,
And,
he was saying.
I will ask for what we feel like we need. And let me say further, and especially Jason, when you and I have spoken in the past, we've talked about the potential opportunity in the future where a driveway might need to be there. And I think both we've decided and you've pointed out that 40-foot strip is probably too close to the corner for that to really be practical. That really probably couldn't happen anyway. And
You're saying a driveway would come in on the north end?
off 300.
Okay,
So,
off 300.
so, for example, if we talk about in the future that if 600 West gets realigned some way, which there have been many discussions, as you know, about the park and realigning, and so what we were looking at before is if this gets realigned some way, it might be that we need access to our back parking lot here through here instead of through the driveway that's right here. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, the Park and Rec master plan, which is still a work in progress, affects this end of this road of 600.
Correct. And so what I'm saying today is I think the idea of a driveway, even if it were to this line that we've talked about, the idea of a driveway being in here, there's probably not enough room. It's too close to this intersection. Doesn't make a lot of sense. I would be really surprised if Heber City would approve that. And so what I'm saying today is that we don't, that's not why we're asking for this. We're not asking for this for the possibility of a right-of-way here. We're asking for this to put another track or two here and to make this area useful to us to store train cars or to have a bigger platform where we can load people in the future, where we can run two trains, as we've talked about in the past. There might be a shorter one sitting here and another one on the other side. So that's what we're talking about. This is a great benefit to us. If we can get a little bit more, it's a little bit more of a great benefit to us.
Okay,
You guys decide.
I was wrong looking at the lines, okay? It wasn't 8 feet, it wasn't 10 feet, it is more.
Right.
I just got off on the straight line versus the hatched line, right?
And so I'm not here to argue or fight or try and say we need more land. The 40 feet would be great if we could angle that other part up too near the edge of the gate, that's much,
Jason.
much better for us, but.
This hash, this is the 40, and you're
It's right at the
saying
bottom of
No.
that square.
that might be more appetizing to the,
No, Kendall, the hashed is the 40.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is the 40. Instead of turning here to go all the way up, is what you were saying, isn't it, Jason?
The way it's drawn now, Kendall, is
Yeah.
the 40
Yeah.
already,
Mhm.
yeah.
So in the audit committee, we did talk about going to the east side of the gate. And at that point, I thought that that wouldn't interfere with the
Yeah.
phase two operations. I thought that's what we discussed, even though what Jason's saying is, yes, we are fighting for land. And our inventory and gate can likely be expanded there too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because our inventory has grown tremendously
Yeah.
in the last few years with growth. And you're seeing what needs to be moved there and how long that will take. We talked about that in the railroad meeting. So anyway, board, I'm gonna open it up to you. What is it you're comfortable with in going forward on this?
Have you considered the utilities in that section there that
Yeah.
have to be relocated and understand what that is?
No, so we know the high-pressure gas line is there, and that will,
Will they let you,
That-
are they gonna let you park a train on
I haven't asked that
Doesn't
specific
that
question.
gas line go down that road, or does it come
No, it
across
comes
the
right
road?
down.
It's right in the middle of that hatched area.
Yeah.
It's down through
It's
there.
right in the
Yeah.
middle of it.
that? So that's an issue as well as what Jason brought up last time, is there's significant amount of, electrical, transformers and other
Yeah.
issues in there that.
Yeah, so I don't know about that part.
Yeah.
Jason, would you
I don't
mind
know where it
pointing
is.
it out? Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that up. Would you point out what infrastructure you think needs to be moved there?
Well, when we walked this, I showed you guys that there's,
See past me.
a bunch of electrical equipment right here that would have to be moved for this ever to get even utilized. So there's three-phase lines coming in here, along the fence line, all the way back to the end of our property. And the switches and boxes for those are installed right here within this. And then the hatch line is the end bridge easement for the high pressure gas, so, we have surface rights there, but that is an easement that was turned over to them when that high pressure line went in, so
So is that not a 40-foot line?
a 40-foot line.
That dashed area.
The
Yeah.
map sent to us said that he drew the line 40 feet from the
40
existing
feet.
fence.
From the existing fence,
But
Is the
that's
existing
Which would
fence on the
be-
property line?
yeah,
Okay.
so
He
he was
went
40 feet on that, and that gas line runs right down the center of this 40 feet.
Yeah. Which I could be wrong, I think it's gonna be an issue, but.
not, could be.
Yeah, I mean, I look at all, hey, if the cost of moving all the electrical, all the utilities in the way, and you get the problem with that easement is if there's ever a problem with that line, it's your burden, they're gonna
Right.
tear it out,
Right.
and they're gonna tell you, you can put it back. You
Well,
know?
I think that's gotta be researched too. You're running a train up and down the
No,
whole
I
length of that
don't,
gas line.
I'm not sure,
They probably won't
it's not
allow it.
my call, but yeah,
That's a good idea.
I just look at the whole footprint of your facility there, and there's just no other way to accomplish that. I mean, you join Wasatch County in the backside of your buildings there. There's a ton of, I guess it's parts, but looks like a bunch of garbage back there. Is there a way to? I just look at it. Is there a way to split your main building with a line on one side or the other and accomplish the same thing and just move the parking lot?
No.
Some of the park, some of the ideas in the Park and Rec master plan would put more parking over on the other side of 600. Some
Not
of
on the
6
rodeo side?
Yes, on the rodeo side, on the east side of 600.
No, that's the baseball side.
That's the baseball side.
rodeo
Oh,
side,
yes, yes, yes,
rodeo
yeah,
side's the
yeah,
west
yeah,
side.
yeah, you're right, yeah, on the baseball side,
Baseball
that big,
side.
Yeah,
that big gravel parking lot now.
yeah,
The one plan shows 600 coming through there, which would take, the land we lost in the parking lot would be taken up on this part of 600 South, that it'd have to be abandoned. And Heber's, of course, got to approve that before that had ever happened. But the idea is potentially a train depot thing on the east side of 600 and some other things there. So I don't know how it affects this. Mark, do you already own that, everything east of that red line over to 600, that little strip
Yes.
you guys already own, right?
yeah, there's a line in there right now.
Got tracks in there already.
I know that Heber City's willing to support the railroad, whether it might even be the driveway to the north
I mean,
or aligning 600 west to
I don't think you have the time or maybe the interest for me to talk about the years of planning that you know we've been working on. But I think the simple answer is the Heber Valley Road is growing and has acquired the assets to grow significantly more. And this land will help us do that. This will be a huge help to us and really almost the key to us being able to use these new cars we required.
So earlier today, you guys were exchanging emails about the contract and issues. Is there any other issues you want to bring up right now, Adam, that we should discuss?
We have some real fundamental issues we haven't really come to terms on. You know, price, terms, purchase price, how that works. In my draft I circulated earlier, I have some ideas about what I think is reasonable, but we've, to this point, kind of been talking about even identifying the actual area where
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
And the assumption of the railroad, and I think in our discussions, has been that we're not assuming you're gonna give it to us, we're assuming you're going to lease it or sell it to us, and that, you know, it would be a normal kind of transaction with at whatever the, you know, whatever the land is worth. And be similar to, I mean, you've done transactions like this with Wasatch County, you know, to get this land, and, you know, I was a party to many of those discussions and all of that, and, you know, we're not asking for anything other than we're neighbors and we're both trying to do our thing and to work together if we can.
What would the potential be if, depending on what, as that park master plan goes, if that portion of 600 were to become available, you could slide it that way instead of to the west into the HLP property?
Yeah, so it's a good question, Kendall, and the answer is I have no idea, because I have no idea
We don't
what
know when
that's
that
gonna
might
look
happen,
like
yeah.
or when. So if we did this where the hatched line was, and we got that done this year, and later this year at the end of this year, I'm just making up a scenario, at the end of this year, you moved all the stuff and you were okay, and we built the fence where the edge of that cross-hatched line is. The next year we would put tracks in there if we could. You know, we would answer the utilities question, answer the gas line question, and if we could, we would put storage tracks in there in 27. And for the next season in 27, we would likely have that paved, and we would have people walking on it, and we would be boarding trains from there, just like we do in front of the depot next year.
Right, which would be, you know, being able to double basically
Yep.
a significant offering that you
Yes.
have, and really be able to help the railroad go forward with their future financing needs and capital plan.
Yep.
Okay, so everyone, we know we've got to find out about Enbridge gas rights. That's on you guys,
Mhm.
okay? Part of your due diligence. Leasing or selling, I'll get back to that in a second, but let's go to the basic idea. Are we talking about the extra land to the gate on the east side or not at this point? What do you feel? What does everybody feel?
I would say if we do it all, it needs to stay on the ash line area,
So you're saying 40 feet,
yeah.
anybody else?
Had a bigger, less impact on HLP if it goes forward.
Anybody else
Yeah, I
wanna
agree
say
with
what they think?
Kendall, yeah. I mean, the biggest, we can say we want, but Jason, this is your gig, so I think you need to speak up and say, if you need the property or you don't need the property. If you don't need the property, well then it's great, we can get some more revenue, but if you need the property and we go through this and then we get down the road and you say, God, I wish I had that property back, then that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
No, in talking with Mark, it's been that 40 feet, it's encumbered property. I mean, there's 350 PSI gas line underneath it. That is not anything the Enbridge, I mean, we even dig close to that line. They have a crew there watching, so,
Does that line go under the road?
Yeah.
yeah,
The
it
300
goes, it's
Yeah.
under the road.
Remember when we talked about potentially going across?
Mhm.
You had to find out if you could even go across it that way.
Right. So,
And like I say, Enbridge is, they cross tracks all the time. It's
We
just
cross
you've
tracks
got-
all the time, you gotta go and build a bridge, basically underground bridge over
Over the top
of
of
it, so
Yeah,
it's not impossible,
No.
but you need to know what.
But a road right over a section of track's different than running clear down the length of it, however long that is.
Well, and that, again, that's not for us to decide, I just
know
know,
what they
I just
gotta
know
say.
in lots of right-of-way situations where you're running down a right-of-way, you're gonna, whatever that high-pressure gas is, you're gonna bridge it.
Yeah.
maybe you'll wanna talk with him more about his
Yeah.
experience on that and help you be able to approach Enbridge, right? Okay, so Kendall's 40, I'm willing to give what we can. The gate, we're back to 40. But, we've been talking about this a while, so we've actually gone back and forth, right, on what Heber Light and Power needs versus what the railroad would like also. So I've heard both sides, if that makes sense. So I'm willing to give what we can give, at least the 40. Not sure if we can give more. I think it depends on the phase 2 improvements, which I've been trying to pin you down on, Jason, you know that, and when we can move forward with that, and you're saying, please let me finish phase 1, I remember. Morgan, Mayor Craig, what do you think?
I think, Jason, you're the one that needs to make the decision here. I also am a little concerned that we don't know the expense to do what you're trying to do, Mark, right? Let's contact Enbridge, what's it gonna cost to move those utilities? Move them where? You move power, it's gonna affect what's left on the other side as well.
Okay.
But I've considered and still consider that step B. Step A is to see if this is an option. If this is an option, then we'll go get the answer to step B and C. But there's no reason to go do that if it's not an opportunity for us.
Understand.
I agree with giving up to the 40 and also up to the gate if possible. I guess it sounds like we need more information from Enbridge and other entities, but I would be open to giving up to the gate.
Okay, so we've got 2 of us that are willing to go to the gate. We don't know what Aaron's going to say. The rest of you are saying, hey, 40. So we're still a little divided, but at least we agreed for the 40 at least. Is there any disagreement on the 40 at least? Okay, so that's our answer. We're gonna move forward. Jason, I was hoping you could give, you told us a ballpark estimate on Monday. Has it just been Monday? Boy, this is a long week. What you thought it could cost to move those utility lines there on the south. You said you thought it would be at least a couple $100,000. Do you wanna change that guesstimate at all? Okay.
I guess another question that needs to be come in this again, do we want to sell or lease?
That was my next point, especially if it's going to be expensive to put in what Mayor Doug's talking about, and of course, moving the utilities. Mayor Craig and I know what the Heber Valley Railroad budget is, and that's not something where they can just do that immediately. It would have to be done in phases, right? And so given that, and given the hats that we wear, right? To try to encourage this organization as well as that organization. I'm hopeful that this board would consider allowing the fence to be moved and the improvements to be made while still leasing. But then at some point, say within 10 years, then it would have to be purchased, right? The clause could be exercised for the purchase. Now,
If it was available or possible.
yeah, if possible,
Over that
otherwise
time,
that could be
he
extended.
might say, no, we gotta have that, and we terminate the lease potentially.
Potentially.
Which would be an expense,
Which
you
we
guys
don't
put
want
tracks
to
in
do.
and then pull
We don't
back.
want to do, but if the railroad were to say, we wanna terminate, there would be a termination clause, right? But I'm hopeful that you would consider allowing them to lease at a low rate, allow them to put the improvements in, and be able to, get the operations doubled, basically, for most of the year, especially the big time of the year, and then that will allow them to have the financing to be able to then purchase it at a certain time. Now, Mark, what do you think about that?
So, a question for you, Jason, is it Heber Light and Power that would have to move the utilities, and so it's you that would move them anyway?
The electric utilities, yeah.
The electric utilities, are there other utilities there
There's
also?
phone and other stuff that I showed you there.
Oh, yeah, okay. And I assume that the electric utilities would be the more expensive and complicated to do.
No, there's no fiber.
There's not any fiber in that area unless Lumen has some fiber in that area, I don't know.
It may, where they hit that corner of our property, they may
Yeah,
continue.
Right on the corner of the 300.
That's just a
north.
general utility easement, so there's multiple things in there, right?
I mean, there's
I
gonna
can tell you
be-
this, when we built this building right here, and we did this concrete skirt, Enbridge would not allow us to go over the pipe.
Mm.
Is it the same depth there?
The pipe goes down
Oh, with
west
concrete.
from there, down the back of that building.
That concrete skirt, we were gonna go further over and cover the pipe, they wouldn't let us.
And the concrete's how thick?
Oh, it's just a concrete apron, it's
Okay,
like 4.
That wouldn't affect
6
this, but what he's
Okay.
saying is Embers was pretty
No.
pretty strict.
fussy about that line.
Well,
Well, I mean, I think before you get, my point, I think before we say we're gonna lease it or sell it, I think, okay, we'll agree to, if Jason agrees, that's where I'm at. If he agrees that we can use that 40 feet, then go see what you're,
Right,
What-
go do the next step.
do the
Find
next
out-
step, yeah,
find out
because
if we can use
leasing it
it.
or selling it, it's, I mean, it's, yeah,
Yeah.
Sixes.
yeah.
Mayor, Aaron will be here in about 7 minutes.
thank you. He knows that I don't respond to texts when I have to be, watching all of you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Does that sound good?
So, yes, so let me tell you what I think the takeaway is here for the Heber Valley Railroad. And I will mention that even for the 2 years I've been coming to these meetings, the hope was that we could fundamentally decide what we're going to do and not have it go through elections and years and retirements and whatever. That was, we're trying to just get this done somehow. And
Retiring.
that's still the case. I'm not announcing anything, but this might help me decide.
This might tip over.
But I'm planning to go find the answer to those step B questions, and we can go do that. And I will try and go do that. And of course, you're going to be involved. The Heber Light and Power is going to be involved with both getting the answers and what the answers are. And of course, we would share them the moment we know. But I'm hopeful that it would be doable. And you see a number like $200,000 to move the utilities. Us being able to do this in 3 or 4 years, that space could help us do $5 million a year more in ticket sales for the people of Utah and be a great economic benefit to the Heber Valley, a huge economic benefit to the Heber Valley. And so I recognize it will be expensive and be difficult and have lots of challenges, but it will have lots of benefits for the Heber Valley for many, many years to come. And my hope and my vision is that we'll be working with Heber City and all the other entities, and that someday there will be a depot, and I think there's going to be a transportation hub either at the new county admin building or here in the park somewhere, and that it's going to be a really fabulous thing for the whole valley, not just the railroad. It's going to be a really great thing. And the potential's at least there, and this is one of the steps for the railroad to help us do that.
So let's give a little more direction to Adam and Jason about the lease or sell idea. Are any of you willing to entertain the option of allowing them to lease and take over the land, put in the improvements, you know, say the next 10 years, and then at that point, they would have the option to to buy. We would sell to them at that time. But it would have to, is it based on, you know, today's market value, or is it based on the future market value? Can you, anybody opine on that?
I'm happy to opine on that.
Okay.
For whatever that's worth. Kind of what we've talked about internally is a lease to own agreement where the lease rate is set at, I have no idea. And then the railroad basically has the option to purchase that land at any point during, I think the way it's currently written is a 10-year initial term with a potential 10-year extension. That purchase would be at appraised value. We talked about having it be at basically today's appraised value, even if it's some years in the future, kind of following the board's direction to not really put the screws to them, just a little bit. And the lease payments would count toward that eventual purchase price. I think that's workable. I think that would give them the control of the land that they need. There may be some other things we'd like to include in there, kind of maybe a deadline to get tracks installed. I think the argument is less compelling if it's just extra storage space for them rather than us. But if it's used for tracks, that's a much more compelling argument.
Well, when I say storage, I mean storage of train cars.
Yes, I mean
tracks.
Yeah, so
That's what I mean.
actual tracks installed, not just
junk.
stuff storage.
Yeah.
So there may be some other provisions, but that's kind of the framework
Okay.
we're talking about.
Well, but it's operational storage tracks to put,
Yeah, it's not.
stand longer train and load.
Yeah, train's not junk that sits on the ground.
What kind of fence are you proposing?
Well, Parker and I were just talking about that before we came over here. If we did this the way we're thinking now, the answer to that question is, what will the fence look like that's on the curb on 600? I'll give you two thoughts. One is that black fence like the one that's in front of our depot now would just continue all the way down to 300. But perhaps we would decide, and then if that, but if we're considering that a boarding area and passengers are going to be walking in there, then we would want that kind of fence on the east side, on the west side too.
Yeah. No, and I only point that out because the housekeeping issue, both with what we see from the street and just so that it's professional looking, you know.
Oh.
And then we're not just,
Yeah.
you know, storing, you know,
You,
parts and stuff.
you don't think you'd want a side obscuring fence on the west side?
Say that again?
A side obscuring fence on the west side, so your boarding passengers wouldn't, I mean, it's gonna be clean area for Heber Light and Power, but
I don't know.
It's gonna have
I haven't
storage
really
and
thought that
whatever.
through yet.
They'll have, I mean, Jason, they'll have visual right to into your yard, right? And so do you want a solid fence or?
We need a
I mean, if
solid
you were
fence.
leaving it the way that it is, would you change the fence?
I mean, I'm guessing that we'll go in with some chain link yard style fence is what I would do and probably slat it, you know.
so, okay, yeah. Less expensive than a brick wall, or a brick
Those
block
slats are
fence.
so ugly over time though, you know what I mean? So what
They do
I'm
fade
thinking is,
Blow.
your current black fence, doesn't allow people to go through, but kids can, and we have 11 million in inventory sitting on the other side. And that's where we're kind of coming from,
That's
is that we
dangerous
need that
foliage.
inventory to be safe. And I don't know if the fence that you contemplated and told us about, Jason, for phase 2 would be right against their fence. You see what I mean? I thought there would be some space there, maybe, and that's kind of weird, a dead zone for me.
But Heidi, I think again, part of this deal will be, you can say, here's what kind of fence needs to be there, it has to be
That's
secure.
fine, but
I
it's
want
just
barbed
more
wire
money.
on top, great, we'll do that, if we need to put decoration in top.
Yeah.
You
no
laugh,
jagged
Craig, but
glass.
we wanna put barbed wire
I
in
know.
the back part, really bad.
On the county side?
So, let me just tell you as an aside, we have a 70-year-old crane, really beautiful crane, which we're getting ready to use in a project. And we have it in our shop and had to replace all the expensive windows because they were all smashed in our backyard. Somebody just got rocks and just smashed every window they could find. And that happens a lot, unfortunately.
Crazy. So, yes, you want something decorative and safe,
Yeah.
right? Does that mean that you would do a fence on the front side as well as the rear then?
Maybe,
Okay, it sounded like that, I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay, well, that would still look good with the fence you have out front right now, because people can see through it, right?
Do you
But
wanna
it's
get Jason,
just-
do you wanna get Aaron's take?
Oh, Aaron,
On this?
we've been talking about the lease, right? Everyone is saying at least 40 feet. Morgan and I are saying maybe to the gate, but we're gonna talk with Jason more about that. And so you know what the 40 feet is, the hash
Mhm.
mark. We were talking about the legal parameters that Adam just mentioned. Mark knows he's gotta do some due diligence. Adam, do you wanna summarize those lease ideas again, cause we need to discuss them with.
Yeah, so
Aaron.
basically, the lease idea we've talked about is a lease-to-own agreement where the lease payments are set at some market-ish rate, with the option to purchase, and the prior lease payments would count toward that purchase price. You know, if it's $100,000 of land and they paid 50 in lease payments at that point, they need to come 50 more. And what we've contemplated is a 10-year initial term with the ability to extend, with the purchase price, at least during the initial term, being today's appraised value, and then if it goes to that second term, we have to get a new appraisal, and it'd just be whatever appraised value is, so trying to sell it at fair market value.
So
Appraised
Aaron,
value now or appraised value then?
The way it's currently structured, and this is me spitballing, is we would get an appraisal before we sign this agreement, so we have a purchase price. That would be the purchase price for the initial term, so 5 or 10 years or whatever it is. So 7 years from now, they want to buy it, they already know the price, they have
Mhm.
the ability to really plan for it
Right.
with the rest of their capital
Thank you.
needs. And then going forward, if we go to that extension term and they want to buy it during that, we get another appraisal, it'd just be present day appraisal.
So if they extended the lease beyond the 10 years, they'd get a new appraisal for the extension of the lease, is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think the Heber Power maximization of profit model would say whenever you wanna buy it is when you're gonna get the value. If it's gone up, if it hasn't gone up, stick with the prior value. And if you don't wanna pay it, you have the option of paying back the lease payments or something like that. But that's a little bit more of a hard line to follow. I get it.
Aaron, they would already make improvements though. They could take possession of the land even under the lease for the
Yeah.
10 years.
And I think I would say to the board that practically speaking, we would probably never make, it's like, for example, if we had to harden the gas line, if we had to build a bridge over the gas line, if we had to do that, we would never make those we would never invest several $100,000s and make those improvements unless we exercised the lease, bought the land, and
Right.
I just did,
Mhm.
I mean, I just did a quick study, we're talking about a half acre of property, so, I mean, just the cost of moving the electrical is probably
Good.
pushing plus or minus the value,
yeah,
let alone any other improvements you do to it,
right,
yeah.
right.
Okay. Let's talk about what Adam's proposed. Is that the direction you wanna go?
Sounds fair to me.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay, what do you think, Mark?
Sounds fine.
Okay, because we've gotta finalize some details, right?
Yeah, and we're happy to exit stage right and let you have discussion without us. We don't need to be
Do
here,
you-
but we.
Would it take 10 years to build, to do
No,
all of this?
no.
to-
we need this next year. That's when we
Okay.
need it. I don't know that we'll
So-
get it, but that's what we
We're
need.
talking about 10 years. So are you suggesting a shorter time frame?
No, the longer time frame is an advantage to us if there are unforeseen circumstances which
Yeah.
throw everything in a
Unless
tizzy.
it helped with your bottom line, you'd probably prefer, if it worked out, you'd probably prefer a purchase rather than a lease. Am I hearing that?
Yes, but the reality is that this is an important part of a capital improvement plan that the railroad has that is like a bonding event like you just did to build your new thing. It's that kind of an event for us, and so this is one of the steps, but it's gonna be part of a bigger expense that we have to figure out. And we won't be doing that on our own. We'll have help from the state or from someone for that.
Another quick
And-
question
yes.
here. So Adam, would they be able to exercise that right to purchase anytime within that window?
Yep.
You don't have to wait for 10 years.
No, yeah, it's
They do their due diligence, everything looks good, they've built the lines, it's been 3 years. They
yeah,
can purchase
just
it.
just a purchase option.
With the
Okay.
remainder of what the
Yeah, that's what we
quoted
can-
price was on the
Right.
front end,
Okay.
minus what they paid in lease, right?
That is the way I
Kind of
currently
the
have it
idea you're
written,
thinking,
and
yeah.
that's what Jason and I have talked through, and, you know, from the railroad's initial draft that we think
So,
makes sense.
let's try to wrap some things up here instead of making him come back and redo all of this next month, okay?
Mhm.
If you want to discuss any of this with them excused, we can excuse them right now and
And
ask them
we'll have a
that.
closed session anyway, this would be
Okay.
fine to talk
Well-
about in closed session.
I'm trying to
That's
press forward
property,
with
yeah.
just a few more details though, and if you're not comfortable with pressing forward on these details, then just tell me and we'll talk about it later and invite him back. The details I want to ask about is the rental rate, or I should say the lease rate, okay? You can go a cheap route and say $1 a year. You could say, no, it's gotta be at least 10,000 or something like that. I'm not sure what the appraisal would be right now. I know how much land costs, Aaron and I know how much land costs in downtown, but I don't know if this area is quite as valuable, okay? Especially given its industrial zone and current uses, okay? So I'm not sure what, any kind of appraisal cost would be. But does this board want a comparable market rate lease that Adam just talked about, or are you willing to be very kind neighbors to the railroad and give a very minimum lease that would still go towards the overall purchase price? Again, I'm looking at it from being chair of both boards. I should disclose that I'm chair of both boards, so I know what their budget is, okay? Are you willing to do a more minimum lease rate per year, or do you want something that's more market rate lease?
I think I'd be closer to market rate, given that we're already getting 100% of the lease toward the value at the purchase, which is abnormal for a rent to own, right? Rent to own, normally you get 40%.
Basically, we're just
60% or
being the
whatever.
bank, we're just financing.
Free financing.
Yes.
Financing
You
it,
get
Yeah, I
money
mean,
at a-
very generous.
Our cost of money is 5 or 6% or whatever it is, and
Yep.
I mean, I think it needs to be a market. I think it needs to be a market.
I think
Unless there's some huge benefit, I don't know, if there's a big, huge tax benefit to us to call it
Well-
what it is and get the, I don't know, but.
Well,
I think
this
we,
is the number one draw to Heber City, and that's why Heber City wants to support the railroad, and that's the tax benefit that Heber City sees.
It brings visitors.
$100,000.
I guess I'd have to know what the
Yeah,
what
what
the
is the
value
market?
of it to know how generous we wanna be.
Okay, it
You know,
sounds like
we don't
need
even
to-
know that number.
It sounds like we need to do some steps then. It sounds like we need to find out what the appraisal is, okay? For at least the 40 feet right now,
Right.
okay?
Do you have any
'cause-
bill for that? Just,
I don't. But from this meeting today, it sounds like it's not buildable. You can't build anything on it. You
Right.
can't, they won't even
It's
let you
safe
put
cover,
concrete
it's-
on it.
Yeah, it's storage,
So
storage land.
Yeah,
it's not, it's, yeah, just good for storage, it sounds like.
okay.
And like I said, we may come back and say, can't put they won't let us put tracks on it anyway, so.
Right, so,
And you've been stacking telephone poles on it. That sounds like it weighs a lot more than your 4 inches concrete pad, so that's weird, but
Anyway,
Okay, well, do you wanna do the due diligence then, Mark,
sure.
and try to come back to us within 2 months? That would be nice, or
Yeah.
as soon as you can,
Yeah.
okay? And then, at that point, I guess we can do the appraisal, or do you wanna do the appraisal at the same time?
You guys tell me what
You
you
can all
want.
kind of come together.
Are
I
you
guess,
willing
wouldn't
to pay for the appraisal?
Yep.
Okay, but certainly you can tell, unless you guys want us to pick the appraiser.
If Enbridge says no tracks, would you even wanna spend the money on the appraisal and pursue this? Or
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not.
you
I
might
don't know.
reconsider if that
we?
were the
We need
case?
to have a better survey to know exactly what's being
Yeah.
appraised.
They
Well,
won't say
they'll
you
look
can't
at
put
40
tracks
prices
on it
now.
because there's roads
Oh,
over it
in
and
that-
trains
in-
go over it.
so-
and
so they would
whatever
just
the
say you would
price-
have to
or
build
They
a
would say
survey
there's
is
this
how many
additional
square feet.
Then you
expense
just
to
multiply that,
harden
yeah.
it so that you can do it. That's what they'll say.
Right, okay.
And that's what we think they'll say. And so it's a cost benefit.
So your go, no go is whether that additional expense is too much for the benefit.
Well, I mean, just,
that's
just
the
thinking
point
about
it's
it from
coming.
a very 30,000 foot on the napkin point of view, if the land's worth 100,000 and it costs 200,000 to move the electricity, and then, oh, by the way, we're gonna wanna bring another 600 amp service in there, which probably on the surface has an impact fee of
Yes.
who knows what, but that's probably over
$30,000.
$100,000,
30,000,
30,000.
well, less than
No.
40. Well, wait a
Yeah.
minute, 600 now? What is that, Jason?
It's gonna be a couple $100,000.
Yeah,
Okay,
see, that's
sorry.
what, that's what you,
Wow.
that's what you told us before. There
Okay,
could be $500,000 of things to do, and the land's worth only a tenth of what the
Total
what all-
cost to do.
all the other things are required.
But you
So
say
we
you
have
could
to
bring
go-
in 5 million if you get those lines in there and have
Right, I
these-
mean, I already know it's very, very expensive. I already know without knowing the details that what we're talking about generally here. And we'll go do that, but there's no reason to go through all of that if you're unwilling to do it in the first place. So I was trying to get the first step before we go do all those other steps.
Sure.
okay, well, you
Yeah.
got the first step now, right?
Okay,
The 40 feet at least.
yeah,
And so if you wanna proceed with your due diligence, that's fantastic, and let us know what you want to do after you find that out,
okay,
okay? And then I know Jason and Adam are more than willing to work with you on any specific information
Yeah,
you
they've been
need
great.
as you do that.
they've been great.
Okay, anything else? Jason, are we missing anything? Adam?
No, we'll get you a good estimate on what it would cost to move that electrical, so.
Probably the only other weird thing we'll want in the lease is some restrictions on height of structures there, because that potentially affects our air permitting. But, you know,
On the air quality permit?
yeah,
Okay.
but, you know, train tracks are not very tall, so that's, I don't think.
Yeah,
Is there overheads there?
but cars are.
Are there overheads down that side of it? No.
The last thing that I think is important for us to discuss is who does the appraisal and who pays for the appraisal. Do you wanna just wait on that discussion? We certainly want it to be fair to both sides, but do we both pitch in? Do we do it ourselves and have him pay for it? Does he help pick who the appraiser is? You know that that's important for us to kind of figure out as we proceed here.
What we've talked about is, this is the railroad's ask, so they cover the cost to push this forward. I don't have any particular concern about what appraiser they pick.
Okay,
That doesn't
That's
give
the
me
least
hard
you
work.
worries.
all right.
Yeah,
No, sometimes it's been a big deal.
Okay.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Mark,
Thank
unless
you
you have
all.
anything else.
Thanks for keeping the lights on.
And, yeah, and thank you for working with us too, because we're excited for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Third item, this is a biggie, everyone. Approval of Resolution 2026-03, a resolution authorizing and approving the amended and restated power pooling agreement with UAMPS for the pool project. We're going to look at authorizing it so it can be executed and delivered, and any other related matters. Jason,
How
I'm
you
gonna
doing?
turn this to you.
has it?
You okay?
Yeah.
Good. Chocolate.
We could go with the PowerPoint, I guess. I think it's all in here. Everybody
Yep.
So we've talked a lot about this the last few months, so I don't anticipate going through the whole,
Thank you. Well, thanks, Kendall.
all of it again, but I'll dive into it and go as quick as possible. So, you know, the big question is why a new amended and restated pooling agreement with UAMPS. The big Pacificor joined the extended day-ahead market, which we talked about, and that goes into effect May 1st. And UAMPS is in the Pacificor Balancing Authority, which makes us, as a UAMPS member, inside that balancing authority. The transmission service agreement that allows our project energy from our various projects get transmitted to our citizens is with that transmission service agreement, which is in Pacificor's balancing authority. So that agreement is between UAMPS and Pacificor.
So Jason, if I read this page right, and I've thought about this since I read it the other day, well, since we've talked about it, we kind of don't have any choice, whether it's good or bad for us. We're stuck with it. We got to get the best out of it we can.
Yep. Yeah, you know, as soon as Pacificor, which has the authority and owns the transmission grid in their Pacificor East balancing area, as soon as they join the CAISO and this energy day-ahead market, then all loads served within that balancing authority are now in the CAISO, which is the California Independent System Operator. And, you know, we're just a small little piece of UAMPS and even a much smaller little piece of the balancing authority and a microscopic piece for the CAISO. So anyways, the pooling agreement had to be, the pooling agreement was from the 1990s and really needed to be updated anyway at some point in time. This just triggered it, and now it became a must. So, and that's just it. It's an agreement that is going to reflect us being a part of that energy day-ahead market. So the original pool agreement was written clear back in 1980 when UAMPS was established. That's one of the things that established UAMPS was the power pool for the UAMPS municipals that belong to UAMPS. So, and it mostly focused on bilateral power purchases, scheduling, and surplus sales. If the town of Beaver was long 1 hour and the town of Bountiful was short, the pool moves that energy from the long participant to the short participant. And now this is the new one, the amended and restated one. Quite honestly, I like this a lot better. I like this agreement a lot better than the old agreement. So I think it's an advancement, and as far as our relationship to the pool. So what it does is it modernizes the pooling structure to include both bilateral and market transactions. It explains how settlements, revenues, and charges will be allocated. adds a whole bunch of legal terms to support financing and protect all members. This one is flexible and will allow for member autonomy and consistency with UAMPS missions values. This is just a kind of a slide of what the bilateral market looks like. You know, Utility A has resources that they can transfer to Utility B or to Utility C, and the load and resources are balanced for each utility. So the centralized market environment is it completely separates load from resources. So that's what we're going into, is once we go into this market, the day that the load is there, the day that you turn the light switch on, that's load. And it's separated. And so you've got power resources that are being bid into that market to supply that load. And you've got load that goes up and down all day long, every second. And they price those resources to pay for that load on that day. So they completely separate the load from the actual generators. I know, it's super fun.
So those loads there at the bottom could be those same three, utility A, B, and C up above. And
Yeah,
everything's interconnected on where it comes from.
yeah,
And the risk, if I understand this new, this new one, the risk is that we're much more susceptible to wild price swings because the load can be significantly bigger that goes into the pricing availability, or that goes into the kind of the demand side of the
Yeah.
supply and demand equation, right?
Yep.
It's bigger than it could have been before.
You mean we'll be like Texas? We're not gonna be like that, are we, with this?
It's not the Texas model, but it is the regional transmission operator model. Whereas now we're just in a balancing authority, and every utility is responsible for balancing their load to their resource, like every 5 minutes. When we go into this centralized market, it's not on me to balance my load every hour. It's on the CAISO to make sure that there is enough energy there to supply the load for your load. And they will select what generation units they want throughout that day and how much they want through those generating units. And they do the balancing. So
And those
This is-
generation units will be these different sources.
all the different sources. Yeah,
So if
Yeah.
the wind's blowing one day, it's wind, and
yep.
or now all these batteries, whatever it's gonna be, they're just gonna
They
bounce
just-
load.
Yeah, they strike it based on what the economics are at that transmission node. So,
Do you think this puts us at risk, for possibly I mean, if we're in this big Rocky Mountain Power deal, I mean, Vegas, all these other big cities, are we at risk of losing power?
Because they have a greater population base.
Well,
and
it's a
they
lot
say-
hotter. I mean, you take a look at California. California loses power all the time because they don't have the power. So they're trying to, if that's what their strategy is, which it kind of is, all these transmission lines are building in circles to just keep redundancy. Do you think that's a risk, or is that just hype? That's just crazy thinking.
no, there's gonna be risk to a commodity market, you know,
Bigger than
every day.
with what we had before.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
volatility of California is bigger.
huh?
The volatility of California is bigger, so the risk therefore is bigger.
Yeah.
Or other things like fuel costs
Yeah,
we're dealing with right now.
yeah, so, like right now, like, we take our delivery at Daniel's substation, which the node on the transmission system is Silver Creek. And so, yeah, if all of a sudden there's, you know, not enough generation units for the load in those nodes in that surrounding area, then the CAISO on that trade day will say, generation right now, if you got it, is, you know, where it was $30 a megawatt hour, because we're short, because we lost a line, because of whatever, it'll go to $300 a megawatt hour. It could go to 3,000 a megawatt hour at that node if you happen to be one of the ones that's you're short resources. So,
It's almost scary to think that some knucklehead California is determining what we get from Silver Creek to come to Daniel.
It sounds to me like we're adding a layer of administration to do what we're already doing, if that makes sense, and they're gonna charge us for it too. And then that's why you've been trying to keep so much behind the meter and are proposing the natural gas generation plant to be behind the meter so that we can hedge that more and be able to fulfill our own flow levels, right? So we're not short, is that right?
but yeah, I mean, if, you know, say we lose Hunter, you know, say, you know, big co-unit goes down and all of a sudden the nodes in kind of Wasatch area, all those nodes go up, sending the price signal to other generators to start ramping up, then we would ramp up because Hunter's a resource that was in that trade day. So we'd ramp up our behind the meter generation to cover that so that we're not paying what that Silver Creek node price is.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So,
And this doesn't really matter, I don't think, so much as I wanna make sure I'm understanding correctly. This is a hypothetical that we wouldn't necessarily do, but currently, with the balancing inside of UAMPS, if there was some kind of major impact to demand or to supply, we could take actions, hypothetically, we wouldn't wanna do this, but we could turn off sections of the city in a rolling thing or something to mitigate the impact or the cost or something to get us down below what the loss from the pool is plus our internal generation.
yeah.
But in the future, even if we do that, we're still gonna be subject, because of what we're pulling, we'll still be subject to whatever that pricing is. Because the pricing doesn't count whether we lowered our demand. The demand is still across the, I mean, it does count at the microscopic amount, like you said. It doesn't make any difference in the overall pie of the cost, right? So even if we did that, we're still susceptible to the crazy or potentially crazy cost swings anyway.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is, and this is the understanding part I want to say, is because of the crazy cost swings, there's also the possibility that people that keep generation offline waiting for price swings or waiting for pricing to go up might turn stuff on
Yeah.
and more quickly resolve that, right? So things that stay off because the strike price is high, well now, because it's a bigger group, that price goes up faster, which means they actually have an incentive to turn that on quicker and deal with it quicker, right?
Yeah, the idea is that, sorry,
Go ahead.
on the day ahead, everybody has to prove that they have enough resources plus like 15%, so that this should enhance reliability because everybody's going into the day saying that we have more than enough resource. And then whatever your portfolio is, that gets sold into the market at market day ahead.
Yeah.
And then day of, everybody pays market. So if the loads go higher than forecast, and so there is that difference between what everybody said they had to supply load with and what the forecast or actuals are, then that's where the market will pay for the more expensive generators to come online. So the idea is that it solves for the least cost generators to be online that day.
Right.
So it's only when the load actually comes in higher than forecast that it's gonna pay for more expensive resources to come online. But the idea is they should be there because everybody planned for load plus 15.
Plus, yeah. And I mean, I don't know, my mentality here is like the risk is not necessarily the load fluctuation, although it could be, but the sophistication potentially of these systems is high enough that the load fluctuation isn't the problem. My question is the supply fluctuation is kind of crazy, right? Like being inside California puts us at risk of crazy transmission outages, right? Like
Physics will still apply.
Physics still applies, yeah.
If there's a generator close to us, we'll be getting that power.
Okay.
I mean, this is all just like a paper game.
Yeah, this,
you know.
That's
so,
okay.
but paper
I mean,
pricing,
worst case
yeah.
scenario, we can generate our own power for whatever we got.
We
Oh,
can,
no,
we can do a certain percentage.
we can do a certain percentage, but, yeah, I
We're
mean.
4 out of 50 now, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we looked really good going into this because we're a federal customer, and so there's, you know, a jag of power that we can get off the all-federal system that is gonna come in and actually reduce our load. You know, we've got our internal generation that's behind the meter that we can reduce our loads with, and we can, you know, we'll be in good shape going into the day. What you don't know in that trade day on the supply side is if a great big unit were to trip offline, let's say, you know, all of a sudden that 102 unit that we belong to, you know, takes a nosedive, gets a tube leak, and they shut it down on the day of the trade, then we're out 5 megawatts as soon as that happens. And now we're into a market buying that 5 megawatts. Now, the market might be just fine. They might, you know, they might say, well, you know, we curtailed a whole bunch of solar and a whole bunch of wind because we were long energy anyway. So they're just gonna like not curtail that anymore and start it up. Or you could be like on a really hot day and demand is really high and they could be sending really, really high price signals and bringing on the units that bid into that market at $300 a megawatt hour power. And then they'll bring those units on and those units will make that money that day during that emergency. So, I mean, we're talking about short clips of time, but in the power market, you know, it's 365 and, you know, 24 hours a day. So you have some really, really bad blips at, you know, hour ending 17 and, you know, that's the only hour that you've seen it. So
Quick question on what Aaron was saying about crazy prices. We still have our hedges in place, so it's whatever's above our hedges, right, that we need to buy off market. Okay, thank you.
yep.
It sounds to me like more and more like Texas, sadly, when you talk about the above the hedges kind of idea.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is going like, you know, on April 1st, Western Area Power Administration's going into the Southwest Power Pool, which is another regional transmission operated market
Okay.
that, you know, has Colorado, Arizona, and, you know, parts of Wyoming up into the Dakotas, all in that Southwest Power Pool. New Mexico. So they're all doing it. All of these regional transmission operators are consolidating, and in the West, it's going to end up being the Southwest Power Pool and CAISO. And that's been a FERC mandate for years for these guys to start sharing their resources a little bit better, you know, not isolating and profiting off of a region that is having a lot of issues. And so the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has been wanting this to happen for a very long time.
We're the lucky ones, okay.
But that's EDAM, this is the pool agreement, so this is EDAM inside the UAMPS municipal group. So 60 entities inside of UAMPS, this is where we pool our power. So you got the complications of EDAM and what UAMPS has to deal with. This is a pool agreement in which UAMPS is trickling that down to the members. So the original pool agreement had, power purchases classified as planned or unplanned. Planned purchases were ones that you did forward, and like our hedges, we know we need this power, we're gonna buy it and secure it. Unplanned is for those unplanned events. And pricing for unplanned purchases determined within the pool at the time of scheduling. So with the amended and restated, it explicitly supports participation in the organized wholesale market, introduces annual purchase plans. So within the pooling agreement, as a UAMPS member, annually UAMPS will determine how short the pool is and make purchases for that. Now, we're not like, say, Oak City, we have staff and everybody, so we will do those purchases, probably not as the block group, but we'll see what the block group's pricing is looking like, we'll see where we can get other purchases. We may time that annual purchase different, but we will be doing an annual energy purchase, just to make sure that we're, continuing to build that pyramid.
Jason,
Yeah.
does that make us a limited participant if we're doing it the way you just described?
No, limited participants it's as it is defined in the
Yeah.
pool.
It's either all or nothing, it seems.
Yeah, but we're in the pool.
Okay.
We're in the balancing authority, so a limited participant would be like Fallon,
Okay.
who, does have some UAMPS resources, but is in the Nevada Energy Balancing Authority, and so there's portions that
Okay.
are limited with them.
Thank you.
We have resource efficiency obligations within this new pooling agreement, meaning we've got to have enough resources to cover our load. And UAMPS will be participating in the EDAM market and will manage all the settlements. Major difference between this pooling agreement and the last pooling agreement is it obligates participants to purchase all of its power requirements and associated resource efficiency obligations in excess of its own resources from UAMPS. So when you are pooling, you're using UAMPS. It authorizes UAMPS to make purchases without additional authorization pursuant to the annual purchase plan. So if you just ignore this and don't look at it and let UAMPS do it, this agreement gives them the authorization to make that purchase for you. Like I say, we've never operated that way. It's not, to me, it's not that big a deal. Just because we'll be making our purchases so that when they do that annual purchase plan, it will be for the smallest percentile of what we may need. That annual purchase plan is to meet market resource efficiency obligations and to meet any forecasted deficiencies. Annually, participants can elect to withdraw their authorization, opt out for UAMPS to make purchases on their behalf in the annual purchase plan, which is likely what we will do. Because, we're set up to kind of do this ourselves. We don't need UAMPS to make all the purchases for us without us knowing what they're buying. Regardless of opt-out status, UAMPS is authorized to make market purchases required to meet the resource sufficiency evaluation for all purposes after 2 days prior to the flow date. So the flow date is the day that you turn the light switch on. If we're not set up and meeting the resource sufficiency requirements, either with our internal generation or with purchases that we've already made, then they will make that purchase 2 days going in, because UAMPS has to go in resource sufficient on the day that you turn the light switch on. The agreement provides a framework to accommodate the organized market participation while preserving UAMPS's agency role. It fully replaces the prior pooling agreement, clear governance and delegation of authority through the project management committee and participants' representatives, establishes a formal planning process, an annual purchase plan, and also it requires UAMPS to do forecasts for all members. Formalizes current practices such as consignment of non-UAMPS resources, incorporates explicit financial obligations, rate covenant, and audit rights that support credit strength and transparency. So there is that rate covenant in this agreement, like in our bondings or any of our power purchase agreements. And that is that this body will adjust rates so that you can make those commitments. And it incorporates contractual terms such as payment obligations, indemnification, uncontrollable forces, and notice provisions. The agreement comes effective May 1st, 2026, whether we sign this or not, because we're going into EDAM, and UAMPS will operate as if every member is within this agreement. Remains in effect until terminated with 5 years' notice, unless a shorter notice period is approved by the PMC.
So is that for UAMPS or is that for us as an individual participant?
That's for us as an individual participant.
Okay.
So right now, that hasn't changed. If we wanted to leave UAMPS, we would have to give them 5 years' notice to leave UAMPS.
We have to give them notice already anyway, though.
We already do. It's 5 year notice right now.
That's
It's
not,
5 year
that
notice.
part's not a change.
No.
And it's probably 5 years practical notice anyway to accomplish something like that.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
Right.
We did get included in this. The committee that Emily set up did get the change in there that shorter notice period could be approved by the project management committee if an entity was ready to go and really wasn't pooling much in there anyway. That's happened a couple times since I've been here, where entities have left UAMPS. Any amendments to the agreement require the project management committee approval. Governance, it establishes the project management committee, which the pool already has a project management committee. I'm your representative on that project management committee. One voting representative per participant. Board of directors ratification is required for project management committee actions. So once the project management committee approves something, then it would go to the board of directors of UAMPS, which could be a much smaller group compared to everybody that's in the pool, in order for that action to be taken. Establishes the ability of the project management committee to create an advisory committee to deal with complex topics. And Emily is your representative on that advisory committee. They've already met a couple times, and that's something that group that Emily kind of got going also got it put into the agreement, which I think is going to help the pool a lot. So that's a big, good change on that. The Energy Day Ahead market operational protocols between UAMPS and members, it establishes that. And it establishes settlement allocations on a cost causation basis. That's another thing that we really beat down on them, is the cost causation principle. That language got strengthened quite a bit through our negotiations. Charges and revenues, or that's this slide. The charges and revenues directly attributable to a specific participant's resources or deficiency shall be allocated to that participant. And, you know, to me, that's a big change from the last pooling agreement. That was not clear cut, that they have to abide by cost causation principles. Charges and revenues not attributable to a specific participant will be allocated among all pool participants according to the load ratio share or another reasonable method as determined by the project management committee.
What would an example of that one be? The first one makes sense, but the second one I'm not sure.
Let's say, I don't know, do you got a good example of that?
Well, they gave some examples, just, they generally got like a fee,
Yeah.
charged a fee for something from EDAM for, who knows, like supplying.
Is there a whole?
This is just a catch-all saying, hey,
Yeah,
if there's
it's
something we're
kind of
not
a-
planning for, we're gonna split it.
Yeah, it's not really attributed to a resource, it's just, or a member.
The
it's
bat.
A travel
Okay.
expense for emergency.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I mean, it's almost like a G&A bucket that they just distribute out equally based on whatever method they come up with.
It's mostly gonna be A&G is what I'm guessing, yeah. A&G costs that are attributable to like everybody, and there's no way for them to break it out on that cost causation principle. But as far as the energy, the load to energy, that should be cost causation, and that's gonna be the majority of it. This is another thing we fought for, was internal auditing. So an annual audit will be completed to review market operations and supplement activity, verify the accuracy and consistency of that settlement process, and evaluate operational market decisions in the market. So this goes back to the cost causation of who caused the cost. We need to have internal auditing after the fact, so that, there's full transparency there. This is the advisory committee. It's set up to evaluate and make recommendations regarding forecasting methodologies, billing practices, schedule, procedures, data requirements, and reporting formats. So this committee was, I think is a good thing for the really smart people out there to dive into the details on this and make sure that UAMPS is getting the right oversight down to the detail. It has some requirements. It must include participants of different sizes and resource mixes, and it works in coordination with UAMPS staff. And then that committee will make recommendations to the project management committee for approval. We already talked about the annual purchase plan. It's basically UAMPS is going to do a forecast and forecast what the loads are going to be, And if there's not enough resources there, they will make that annual purchase plan. Members that just want UAMPS to do everything, UAMPS will do it. Other members can opt out of this and, believe their own forecasts, do that type of stuff. UAMPS will prepare an individual participant's load and resource forecast. That's now a responsibility of theirs in this new agreement. UAMPS will participate in good faith to mutually agree to the participant's load and resource forecast. That's a good legal term, good faith. Participants is responsible to provide UAMPS with load data and resource information, including periodic updates. So our responsibility there is, as new loads come in and, we forecast, okay, we're getting ready to put this, higher Regency online, we expected to add a megawatt of load to us, then we would notify them of that. Participants must consign to UAMPS the output of any outside resources, i.e. non-UAMPS resources pursuant to the appendix. So,
I had a question on that. That doesn't include our federal power.
yeah, our federal power will go through the pool.
Okay, so what other outside resources do we have? Even Jordanelle? Hydro, Lake Creek Hydro?
So outside resources as it relates to this, because we're not in the network model, meaning we can decrease our load with our internal resources. And so we're one of the few who would fit in with a lot of outside resources. But like Idaho Falls has what they call a slice from Bonneville Power Agency. So Bonneville Power Agency, that's specific to the city of Idaho Falls, and that's got to go for their load first. So there's just little things like that.
Okay, thank you.
So UAMPS will act as a scheduling agent for consigned outside resources. So what that means is like City of St. George, their internal generators are in the network model, but UAMPS has got to act as their scheduling agent to the CAISO. UAMPS will not schedule, dispatch, or bid any consigned outside resources into any organized market unless expressly declared available by the participant. So any outside resource won't go in if it's, unless UAMPS is fully aware of it and has declared it. Agreement provisions, there is the payment obligation, the rate covenant is in the document. Those things are in every document that we have through UAMPS. The Hunter plant, Horseview Wind plant, all have those types of things. Representations and warranties, this is the legal stuff. Adam can answer any of those questions if you have them. Indemnification and liabilities. There is language in there that covers the default and dispute resolution as well as notices.
Quick question. How much is our UAMPS payment going to increase given EDAMS?
It's going to be based on the energy costs.
So our payment shouldn't change? I thought it sounded like it was because of the extra layer of.
You mean the membership part of the payment?
Just the regular fees.
Just our power bill that we
Yes,
pay.
yes. How much do you think it can
It's-
increase?
Going to be based on energy. Our goal going into this is that on the day you flip the light switch, we're resource balanced, and with any type of load spikes or anything, we've got generation to schedule to take care of it.
Okay. So there's no administrative cost fee?
Oh no,
Isn't that
the
built
A&G,
into that?
we've been paying more for UAMPS A and G. You know, that's probably increased, you know, $7-8 a megawatt hour, through all projects, not just the pool, but through all projects because of the staffing they've had to add
That was
to
my-
take care of this, yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask next. I'm sure they've had to increase their staffing. Okay, so those costs are already being realized then. It's not gonna break us, is what I'm asking.
A lot of those costs are being realized. I mean, in this next budget coming up, you know, there was probably an additional $4 a megawatt hour of additional A&G spread across all projects. So depending on how much time and effort is spent on the Hunter project, it went up, how much time and effort. But the pool is gonna get a lot of that portion of this increase. Okay, that's it. And I'm happy to read the whole agreement to you.
Nope.
I had a couple of questions down on
Hard
page
pass.
94, when you get into the exhibits.
Yeah,
Are we filling out the exhibits, or are these just templates that we have to fill out?
oh, these are just templates.
Okay?
Let me get back
And
to
so we're
that.
approving the templates too, in the exhibit 1, 2, and then on 3, I was hoping you'd explain that a bit more on exhibit 3.
Well, let's get to exhibit 3.
Thank you.
So this is if you are consigning resources.
Okay.
So, if you have a resource, so this is a pooling appendix, and that's if consigning, just gonna consign a resource. And this could come with, you know, like anything, like say the board decided to consign the Jordanelle, all of the Jordanelle hydro to the pooling agreement, this is the document you use.
Okay. Okay.
And that,
Alrighty.
chances are that's the document that we're probably gonna use to go into the pool for the St. George and Lehigh PPAs, although we do not have an answer yet on how that is going to work. So,
Well, we know you'll get the answer first.
yeah,
Good.
we're working on it.
So this resolution is the next step to make this happen.
Right. And we
Yeah,
have to-
with the approval of the resolution, then that would authorize the mayor to, sign these other documents, so,
And then we also have to sign the page 104 on the opinion of the council.
Yep, Adam's
and
gotta-
then- But
yep.
it looks like two of the same things on pages 104 and 105. Am I missing something on that? 104 and 105 look the same. The two, opinion of council to the participant, is there two different ones? Are they
I
the
think it
s-
just got put in.
Yeah, those do
twice.
look the same.
Okay, they're the same, thank you. So it's everything that's included in this packet, nothing's missing for the motion then? Unless you have more questions.
No, it's also the certificate of participant, which, has a signature by the mayor too. And it's just attesting that Mayor Heidi Franco is the
Here's a
chairman,
pen
Oh,
for
that
all
one.
your signatures.
Thank
and
you.
Riley Allen
Give me
is
those pens.
the board secretary, is what that
Oh,
does.
sure, but that's not here that we see. So you want that included in?
It's just further down.
The
Page
resolution would
106.
cover that.
Shows the chairman and the secretary.
So on the motion then that somebody can make is to accept the resolution 2026 and the certificate of participation?
Just the resolution.
Just the
is fine.
resolution.
All right.
It's all included in there.
Does anybody have
Mayor,
further
I'll make a
questions?
motion that we accept resolution 2026 dash, what was it?
Oh, 3.
03,
A,
as demonstrated,
Can
Thank you.
I ask that you say approve?
that we approve,
Approve.
yes. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2026 dash 03 as outlined.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, that was a lot, Jason. Thank you. Thank you for doing this and answering our questions. We've got, here it comes. Here we go. All right, Aaron, we're gonna start with you, please.
Yes.
Kendall?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, that passes 6-0. Okay, I can't thank you guys enough for showing leadership across the state to get this done and to make sure those details were taken care of. That was so much work, I can't even believe it. You know, you guys, we've been talking about it for 2 years, 3 years?
Been coming.
And to get all that arranged, even before the deadline, is pretty amazing. Very good, very good. All right, unless anyone has anything else, we'll turn it over to the wholesale power report with Emily.
I'm stopping.
I love multi-share sushi.
Did you get multiple people in, Emily?
Did I get, sorry,
People online.
I'm just being a smart aleck.
I'm too slow, I wouldn't even try. Okay. All right, usually I provide a little more detail than this, but we get our power bill 25 days after the close of the month, so I just got our February power bill from UAMPS today. So next time I'll have more information to report. And I also wanted to have a little more time to talk with Bart about how the power purchase budget was distributed throughout the year. So anyway, but we are just right at, if not a little bit under budget when you combine the gas and the power bills, so.
So good, so good.
Good enough, I hope.
Because your other charts show how bad it was before.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, so I'll have more detail next time on that. And then just looking, you know, it's no shock that the load was down because we were really warm this winter. So on the right is just a look at the daily temperature at Deer Creek through the winter months, and you know, we were up in the red quite a bit, very warm winter. That black line on the left is our load compared to 2024 and 2025 for January, February, and December. So yeah, load was down, just mild weather. And so considering that, I just wanted to give you guys a look at what we have planned for summer, because we had such a warm winter and it's likely we're gonna have a hot summer. So, which means that the load could surprise us compared to last summer. You know, it was a mild summer last year, and so the load was down, compared to the summer before that. So just looking back, at the last, 5 years or so, at the market high price by month, so I just took the highest price per month. You can see in the years past, we've had quite a bit of ups and downs throughout the year. In your shoulder months, the prices are low, and in the summer and winter, you see a spike in prices. And then in 2025, we had this really lovely pricing where even our highest price was, around $100. And so we've had good power bills, and I just want to prepare you for maybe what's to come.
Well, just pause right there, unless you're gonna show the next graph. Do you guys see how bad it was in 21, 22, and 23, even into 24?
Yeah.
This is exactly why we did not do dividends. Okay,
Well.
just saying. Thank you,
Yes.
Emily.
And this is a more detailed
That's the other
look.
one, yes.
Yeah. This is just June, July, and August, and the, the daily high price. So again, just, a lot more ups and downs in the prices, a lot higher pricing than this last 2025. We've had great prices, which honestly just scares me a little bit. We'll see what happens. So anticipating a really hot summer, and with EDAM coming and not really knowing what that's going to do, that we just really don't know. The theory is that it manages costs and keeps, the lowest cost generators online, and you don't see like crazy pricing, but we'll see. So just anticipating that we're gonna have higher load and unknown pricing, we really try to stay out of the market as much as possible, like Jason was saying. So we've done quite a few different market purchases. I know Jason last month told you about the latest one, and even added a little onto that. And so we have a good plan for summer. I feel like this is our load stack, or our resource stack, sorry. So this is all of our resources stacked up for an average day. So that line on top is what our average load forecast is by day, for one day. And then each of those colors is a different resource, and so that yellow on top is what we would be running our natural gas generation at. I don't even think we would really be running that much in May, but anyway, we'll fill in, you know, on peak with natural gas as needed, but as you can see that big blue line down there at the bottom, that dark blue line is our market, what we've hedged for market, so we hedged quite a bit for July and August, and the pricing was really good. So overall, for these hedges that we have from April through the end of the year, the average price was $51. I just did that today, which is fantastic, compared to, you know, $150 I think we paid last year for some summer market power, so.
Did you just time that really well? So, I mean, did you just see it before? Because the energy, like today, pricing's pretty high, right?
It's actually,
Timing's everything.
yeah, this is a really good time of year, so we kind of put off some of them until spring and locked some stuff in just, you know, this last month, and I think it worked out really well for us. You never know. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but
Yeah.
I think we definitely won on this one. It was good, good pricing overall. I think it was $70 for the summer, for the highest, you know, summer, so that's really good. So we're in good shape. I feel like we're in really good shape for
Do you
summer.
see, of course, Snake Creek and whatever the flow is, but do we anticipate any less flow out of Jordan Hill that'll affect us because of the low water?
Yeah, they've told us that, you know, normally in April we'd be ramping up to full load at Jordan Hill because of all the spring, you know, water, and we're not gonna see half of the capacity, I don't think, this summer, and
They're holding it back to hopefully
Yeah.
hold it back.
it'll be mid-June before we even get to 6 megawatts, and it's usually 13.
Yeah,
So but that's all, you know, included in what we did.
that'll just drive us to other resources.
Drove us to these market purchases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To what extent do you think, it's a crystal ball kind of conversation, but in the past, does the market increase notably when there's oil problems and conflict stuff? That's why I was asking if you nailed the timing, because I would guess the pricing went up quite a bit.
Well, and
Looking at
it's
futures.
odd that we haven't seen a spike in natural gas prices or market prices yet. I would have thought that we would have
Yeah,
seen
I
that.
would
That's why
probably.
I'm still nervous about summer, you know, because they're gonna get their money. You know, they have an opportunity to raise prices. I feel like that's gonna happen at some point.
Oil and gas are inverted. Because when oil's at $100 a barrel, there's more wells going in the ground, and natural gas is a byproduct of oil. So even though we're full on
Oh, I
storage,
see what you're saying. As the pricing goes up, it incentivizes more supply
more supply.
because it's a
Of
byproduct.
natural gas.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And we're
They
in a good
used to-
place here. Yeah.
They used to follow each other really closely, but I'd say from, I don't know, 2000s, they started to invert, and now they're really inverted. Meaning, you know, oil's at 110. Now, with that being said, I know that they are building LNG ships as fast as they can because, well, we're here in $2 a decatherm natural gas market. Japan and Europe are at $18, $20, $30 a decatherm. And so I know the U.S. really wants to increase their LNG tanker fleet so that they can get a lot more exports going.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I think
That'll
you'll
fix your
start to see
inversion.
that inversion start to correct itself.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But that's probably years out then, not 10 years, but 3 years.
Yeah, I know just reading stuff, the LNG plants are, you know, dumping capital, and I'm sure the shippers are too, to build the ships to get it over there. You're getting that premium. And that's happened, I mean, they've been doing that since Ukraine war started, you know, trying to get more natural gas exports out of the US, so.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this mild winter really helped natural gas pricing too, because there just wasn't
There's
the
no,
withdrawal, so the pipes are full. right now.
Yeah, storage is really high right now, just because they didn't draw. Opal's, you know, where Opal would usually be at like 40%, it's at 80%, you know.
I had thought with the natural gas generation plant that's going to be built with bond, the latest bond, I would thought we should have some storage here. But Jason, you were saying no. I don't know if it could be put somewhere, but boy, I would
We
really
just
like
can't,
to stay
we just can't store, I mean, it's, storage
Storage,
run our
natural gas
generators for
storage
2
is-
hours would be the size of a football field,
Yeah,
Would it
400
really?
feet tall.
I see, I had no idea. I was hoping if we could find a
Natural
salt
gas.
line to pump it into.
right now, natural gas storage is up in Opal, Wyoming area, and it's in clay mines,
No,
where they mine clay out for the storage, and they're in these great big massive caverns
okay, that's not
that
too
are
far.
surrounded by clay so that it doesn't seep out.
Does that feed
What
us
about that
directly?
down in Round Delta, the power plant down there?
They're talking about doing some storage wells down there.
In the salt
Yeah, in the
domes?
salt domes, but right now, all they're storing is petroleum and hydrogen.
Oh, not
So-
LPN,
Does Opal feed our line?
Opal?
or LNP.
Sorry.
Yeah, we do most of our draws off the Northwest Pipeline and the Questar Pipeline.
Mhm.
So, the company we use, SEMA Energy, they have capacity on both those pipelines as well as Kern River, but we're not in a position to draw from Kern River, nor would we want to. That pricing is usually about $1 higher.
Okay, I'm just trying to see how close we are to where storage is. Thank you. Emily?
Yeah, so just another grim look at winter,
Yes.
accumulated precipitation, you know, the red line is the lowest on record and the green is 2026. And that doesn't actually look too bad compared to accumulated snowfall, where 2026 is now the worst year on record. So, yeah, so what this really sets us up for is, more than anything, I think the prices are gonna be impacted by the lack of hydropower generation
Mhm.
on the grid this summer in this area, in the Colorado River Basin. And
Doesn't that mean in the Northwest is going to be using E-dams quite a bit
I don't know about
for
the
the market
Northwest.
purchases?
Northwest?
Yeah.
No.
Oh wait, they don't have the
Pacific
same,
East,
they have better
Pacific Core East
participation.
is, you know, include some of Oregon and Washington, so they will be going into the CAISO,
Okay, but they
but
do have
above
more
them
participation,
is,
precipitation than us, so that might
yes, so there's
help
gonna
us.
be, the forecasts right now on the upper Northwest are, you know, 110, 120% of
That's right.
average.
That's right.
And so, yeah, there is gonna be a lot of hydro trading at California-Oregon border into the
Mhm.
CAISO off that hydro, cause
Yeah.
they're flush with it,
Yeah.
and we have none, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Glen Canyon forecast is looking pretty grim. We could reach minimum power pool by August. If not August, then they're saying December really is just for sure. Now there's DROA, which is the drought response operations, which would allow them to move some, I think 500,000 acre feet from Flaming Gorge into Glen Canyon, and then the EIS 6E would allow them to hold back 600,000 acre feet from sending it down to Lake Mead. So those are the two kind of emergency operations that they're talking about and won't announce officially until mid-April. If they do those things, then it still won't save us from reaching minimum power pool probably, but it will prolong it probably, you know, until December for sure. This does not include any bypass operations or anything like that, so it's all kind of a, you know, it all goes in the toilet once they do that. So we'll probably, you know, be seeing minimum power pool where we'll see no generation. We are working, there's a few of us on the committee working with WAPA on trying to do a market purchase to put in place to kind of bridge it. So we'll see how that goes. If, you know, if they could buy something right now and these prices are still good, maybe that'll get us through, and we'll see how that goes. But it's not looking good. I was just on a meeting before this, and it was like, you know, this is bad, this is worse, you know, this is terrible. So it's not looking good, but we'll just have to continue trying to preserve what we can. And I also wanted to just pass these around to you guys. This is a handout from CRETA that they were sending around to congressional staff today, if you guys want
Yeah,
one.
thank you.
Anyway, just to kind of keep you in the loop on messaging, you know, if you were to talk to any of our representatives, that's kind of the message on hydropower. You know, stop all bypass if you can, and there's a few other things on there. If you have any questions about any of it, feel free to give me a call. But we're trying to preserve hydropower as much as we can.
Emily talked to him last month. That's why she was in the board meeting on those talking points, and was able to meet with our full delegation. I'm going back the end of April, and I'm gonna continue to drive home those talking points. I mean, it's just completely irresponsible of them to be bypassing water during this time, so. The Bureau of Reclamation anyway, you know, that's who makes the decision.
I don't know what budget they have.
Well, it comes out of the basin fund, which is our money, which is what
Okay.
we pay our rates. They go into the basin fund,
Okay.
and that's what they're using when they bypass. And so
They use-
our most, you know, our most recent plan is to hopefully have them hedge this power out of the basin fund so that we're spending our money. Maybe there won't be any left for reclamation, we'll see. You know, that's kind of, anyways, we tried everything we can, but they are spending our money that is, we pay through our rate that is meant for infrastructure.
And do you know the budget on that? Is there money there in that budget?
I believe there's 180 million in it right now.
Is that enough to put in those hydros, those new, I'm sorry, Whitehead turbines?
No, that would be, that would
That's
be,
gotta be Bureau of Reclamation funding. I mean,
Extra funding through
Mhm.
Congress then?
Congress has to appropriate that money to reclamation.
Okay.
They're not
And-
very good at that
And you guys
right
are
now.
getting the whole
Okay.
western delegation on board, right?
Appropriating money.
Not just
No,
the
they're
state.
not.
oh no, it's
Pretty
Arizona,
much,
Colorado,
reclamation.
Wyoming.
Right,
Not
and
so
so they're
much.
gonna put it into the omnibus bill or what?
Malloy and Lee both have a bill for,
Okay.
the thermal curtain, you know, option, which would be to basically allow them to cool the river in a better way, that's better
Right.
for hydropower, basically.
Okay.
Very simple
How much is
explanation.
that gonna cost?
A lot of money, but it won't come out of the basin fund.
Is that like the 7
It's
billion?
like, it's
for
like
the
a
nuclear?
$60 billion,
60 billion?
it's a lot of money, it's a big,
That's even more than the nuclear
it's,
plant up in Idaho that they didn't want to fund.
yeah, we'll see if they do it. There's all kinds of options besides what they're doing,
Okay.
yeah.
Oof, okay. Thank you for these talking points, and then when we meet with the delegations, usually in the spring, remember we had that meeting with them, this is where we really wanna
We
be
wanna-
strong.
We wanna keep hammering these points home.
Are we gonna do that again this year?
I hope so. That's
Okay.
the Mike Squires thing. I'll ask him, but
Mhm.
at least in his reports, he's diligently trying to set up the
Mhm.
meet and greets with our delegation.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Are you done here? Emily? Thank you, okay, we're ready now for your GM report, please, Jason.
Okay. UAMPS report, you know, we covered it for the most part. Hours and hours were spent every month on this Energy Day Ahead market, UAMPS preparing for it. Right now, you know, the other UAMPS projects are, you know, operating very well. Hunter is, you know, operating very well. The Hunter 2, our coal unit. They lost their person that kind of takes care of the Horseview Wind Farm. They currently have a job open for that. So right now, some NEBO staff is backfilling that position till they get that position filled. But they shouldn't have issue filling it. There's so much wind up there that I'm guessing that there's somebody looking for another job. So IPA update, units are running. They're, you know, still in a really high, you know, kind of break-in stage, I guess is what you'd call it. You know, so they do have their ups and downs as the gas units continue to operate. But we are getting energy from it, from those units. On June 1, because we go into the new contracts in June 1, so the contracts, the original coal unit contracts will terminate in June of 2027. But in June 1 of 2026, we will have to kind of nominate what energy we want out of IPP starting June 1 when we go into the new contracts. You know, that's something that's just on our to-do list, is to look into that crystal ball and see exactly what kind of energy we want to call back from those gas units. The callback provision is a great provision, but I'd, you know, like to get a few weeks into EDAM before we actually make that nomination to see if the IPP units would be advantageous for us to have as a bid-in option in the EDAM in 2027 when we roll into those new contracts.
Okay, that was kind of complicated, just so you know, 'cause I'm like, okay,
Iron Mountain.
it's a lot of steps, but are you looking overall at trying to increase what we can get out of that IPA?
We can't increase, but what we can do is call up to our entitlement share of the 800 megawatts of the natural gas generation. So
Right?
we could nominate and pull in 4.78 megawatts of gas generation out of the IPP units, or we could just say we don't want to pay that bill. It's not viable to us in this EDAM market, so we'll let California take it. That's what that callback provision is. It's, you know, you can, if you forecast that you're gonna need it and you like the price at $90 a megawatt hour or 95, then we can pull it in. If we don't want that $95 a megawatt power and we think we can get it cheaper somewhere else, then we let California take it and eat it. So
I do hope a month's enough.
it will be, but we will try to do our very best to
Right.
make the right nomination for that. So, hydrogen is currently being manufactured and is being put into the storage cavern. They're currently pumping into cavern 1. I think they're still doing some shore up things on cavern 2, and I don't think they're injecting into cavern 2 yet. They're not even going into test phase of hydrogen into the units until probably June or July was my last update. which is a little old. Things change drastically down there, all the time, so.
But isn't the hydrogen more expensive right now than the natural gas?
Yeah, I think right now what they're projecting that if you are a hydrogen taker, your power costs are gonna be north of $150 a megawatt hour. We will not be a hydrogen taker, so, you know, that power is more in the $90 to $95 a megawatt hour range.
Thank you.
Building update, we're currently, working on audio video, and, furniture installation. The cabinets and countertops got ripped out and cut down. Downstairs countertops were like a quarter to a half inch too high. And the upstairs countertops were a quarter inch too low. So,
Wow.
Sorry.
It was code that dictated.
I'm sorry.
Code is what dictated
Yeah,
it.
the code dictates that. We don't have cabinet heights in our city code. They just follow the international building code, and I guess they're not willing to give that kind of a wiggle room.
not
Okay.
us.
So the approval comes from whether they're following
Wow.
international codes?
I'm just teasing.
I'm sorry, I don't have any power over that.
No, they've been great to work with. Kurt has, I've talked to Kurt, and Kurt has been working with us very much on that building, so I appreciate all his efforts.
So are they back in now? Did they pass yet?
They're back in, yeah. I think they're, they want, the fire marshal wants a third-party review of the system we're putting in, networking and dispatch, which is an inert system that's not deluge. That they've not seen it before in an occupied space, so they want a third-party opinion on it.
Do you have to go find somebody, or do you have someone?
The contractor's finding somebody.
It's done.
Is it done?
Excellent.
Third party review's done.
Yeah.
Did
We're
it
just
turn out
waiting on
okay?
the fire marshal now to do his final check.
Okay.
And the elevator should be completed, the end of this week, and we've been told that the state elevator inspector is roughly 5 days out, so the elevator is operational and everything. It's just some touch-up that they're doing, and then running through all the tests that the state elevator inspector will do to make sure that they pass when he does show up. Wildfire mitigation plan. So UAMPS, this is something that we've been working on for a while. We were going to go out to bid, but we decided to piggyback with some other UAMPS members, and UAMPS went out to bid on the consulting firm to put together a wildfire mitigation plan for the utility. They got, I think, 5 responses back, and the member services project management committee of those responses decided to go with a firm called Dudek. They are kind of a leader in that in the West. They've done many for some much larger organizations than us. So we've engaged them. I'm working on getting a time scheduled with Jeremy so that we can start that. The initial assessment was $1,600, and then once they get that assessment done, they'll be able to give us firm number on what our particular wildfire mitigation plan is gonna cost.
Oh, boy, and we have to pay for this,
Yeah,
right? This could be quite a bit, couldn't it, given our hillsides and our territory?
yeah, this is a big thing, yeah,
Are they going to do it on private property or just around our lines that are
just
not,
our,
that are not on private property?
just our line.
Valley, mountains, all of
Everywhere
that.
within the fire zone, which is pretty much our whole service territory.
And then, do we have a
Not
deadline
actually, but
that this has to be done by?
June first.
No, I mean, the actual implementation.
No, I have a deadline with these guys that I want this mitigation plan in place June first.
Okay,
So then we have to react, we have to actually start executing the plan. And that's when the real cost begins.
yeah.
That's when the real cost comes in.
Yeah, but.
Bart will go into that a little bit later in another, presentation.
Are we supposed to do it in 5 years? Finish it,
The
10
sooner the
years?
better.
The sooner the better.
And that's a state mandate?
It's not a state mandate.
Surely it's
an
gonna be needed for
mandate.
insurance. Yeah.
Insurance mandate.
Yeah.
It's a risk.
if we don't have it, insurance won't touch us anymore.
Well, and that risk of shutting the power down if there's
You
any
mean 1
risk.
year? In 1 year, we've gotta get this done before we renew again?
No, we just need to
Sooner the
get on
better.
it. We need to get on it and diligently work on it. Riley's crews have been in that area doing system hardening for 2 years already. But the next big step is full right-of-way clearance. And, that's a lot of work and a lot of effort, so.
Especially in a drought year, that's not great either, when they're up there
It's
in
gonna
those
be
areas.
tough.
Oh, they won't be able to go up there during like fire season. It's gonna have to be,
Your chainsaws and hats too.
That's what
It's
I'm-
just create
Yeah.
fires everywhere.
Winter work.
yeah, we're
Falling.
gonna have to time it right, and when the timing is right, we're just gonna have to throw resources at it. And get as much done as we can within that window, and then, the
Wait-
next year,
wait
get
till the next
as
window.
much as we can get done in the next window,
Yeah.
so.
Man, wildfire season might be year round if our weather keeps going.
It's gonna rain. Have some faith.
I,
Good update,
that's good. Okay, that's a huge risk that I did not know was perhaps coming at us. It could be several million, right? Or more.
Yeah,
Over time.
over time, yeah, like I say, we've already been up there, doing a lot of system hardening, changing out facilities in, the most, high-risk areas. All last year,
Oh my goodness.
we were on, well, this body authorized me to shut people's power off if the risk was too high, so, we were in that mode all fire season last year, and,
Mhm.
at least go into safety settings quite a bit. I never did actually pull a public power safety shut off, but, I would have if the conditions would have been right in
Okay.
the zone, so.
What I'm thinking, Jason, is that given Heber's annexation propensities at times, we need to make sure that the wildfire mitigation hardening costs are included in annexations, Aaron and Morgan. Does that make sense?
One
Because-
nice thing about that is Heber City's code forces underground.
Yes, yeah,
and
which is
so
great.
There's a lot of that fire mitigation taking place just as a part of your code.
Just
forces
'cause it goes
underground.
So it would just be the connection
You
to
don't have to
anything
risk a
above
line
ground.
sparking above.
Well, still, it has to be studied, it has to be approved. That's kind of cost, right? At least should be included, and then you two can see how to apply it in your cities if you needed to. Ooh,
This is driven by insurance companies.
Yeah.
Even those people that you guys are approving for houses up in those zones,
mhm.
they've got state regulations now as to.
Right, the extra property taxes.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm just wondering if that can, if that, right, the state requirement in conjunction with this insurance effort is going to help us, as well as help our property owners perhaps to get their insurance and not have to pay so much.
Can't control insurance companies.
Well, hopefully the rating will come down, right, with both efforts going on.
It's just another reason for them to raise it. That's all it is.
Or
What this
cancel
is.
it.
You cynical capitalist.
No, it's the
It's
truth.
reality.
That's the
Yeah.
truth.
But if we can do stuff in advance and other people aren't,
Yeah.
theoretically they'll get the
They
higher
were in,
rates.
I mean, they were in our town hall meeting in Charleston, like, we barely touch it, but it
Yeah.
just because it touches it, it's, no, they're raising the rates.
Right, right. Yeah, that's really something.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jason?
Capital project update, we've met with Wasatch County Planning Commission, 2 weeks ago, last week, I can't remember. But we got a conditional use permit for the transmission tie line at the sewer project, down at the sewer plant. So that line is directly to the east of the sewer plant and the sewer ponds. And it is on the fence line between the sewer plant and Bureau of Reclamation, the river property. So we got that conditional use permit granted to us. We have the total engineering done on it, and we're gonna get ready to go out to bid on that for construction, so
So.
procurement and construction,
Have you talked with Jim?
yes,
Okay, so he's going to give you access to the gate and all of that.
yes.
Okay, great.
We're gonna go and talk to Jim and probably the sewer board and acquire easement for that, as well, so.
Okay. Our next meeting is April 9th.
They're tough.
They're mean.
I'll tell you what, one of the worst meetings I ever attended was a sewer board meeting, I'll just tell you that right now.
That's because I made him stay within the right of way
I
and
won't-
not be
I
able to
won't
use
say the
drag wires
time, but
outside of it.
Oh no, the one I was on the agenda for something else, and I think me and Emily sat through the smell.
The smell.
Oh,
and
my
complaints.
main point too.
Yeah.
Complaining about the smell.
That was a joke.
That was like one of our transmission line meetings, that was a bad meeting. There was a lot of bad people there.
It should have gone a different way. You're right. We should have. It didn't.
Can't blame us, we weren't there yet.
Nope. Kind of. We'll see you next month.
Yeah.
We got you.
We'll probably have to
Okay.
disclose in that meeting too.
We
about
have that,
conflicts of
do you think we
interest,
get
right?
that appraisal done for that easement before next month?
Is it a prescriptive easement? Is it?
I go with ESPC, I don't even,
We'll see.
I can get it out there, try.
Okay.
I just wanna formalize that easement with them.
I'll pursue.
Do you have an existing easement there?
Well, let's get
We
with
have a
it.
prescriptive easement, but we just wanna come and formalize
Okay,
an easement just like we did with the south line,
yes,
so.
yes. Okay, no guide wires.
And no
Right.
guy wires.
Excellent.
Well, and that's what we told the county planning commission as well, that once we build this line, that substation also goes away,
Mhm.
so it's all waiting for them.
Yes, thank you. How wide, by the way? How wide?
60 feet,
60
30
feet?
each side.
You might be touching some of the buildings.
no, we won't.
Are you sure? You're
Yeah.
going to do more on the
We
URMC
get this
side?
building,
Well, we have those buildings behind the main building, you know, that kind of swing around close to
Yeah.
that fence.
30 feet.
There's just the driveway.
we're
So
not,
30 feet on
I
one
mean,
side,
it's
30 feet
gonna
on the
be, it'll be like a light bulb easement,
Okay,
so it won't be to the full 60 feet till you get
to the
up
end.
where you got a clear wide.
Another one had
for like
Okay.
tree trimming and, you know, all
It's
of
Yeah, there's a
that.
lot of that.
So,
Some of
So
it's-
are you going to URMCC for the other side of the easement?
no, we're going just to the sewer district.
Okay, well, that's why I think the 60 feet could touch the buildings is all. Didn't know if you
I-
had seen that.
I don't think so. It's not, there's not a building within 200 feet of what we'd be talking about.
Oh, so it's further south?
No, it's
North
right,
East.
it's right on the east fence line,
of the buildings?
not the buildings,
The property.
The property line.
Yes, but are you north of the buildings or going south?
Both.
It's both, it's north
Okay,
and
well, I
south.
still think they're gonna touch buildings, but that's just my eyeballing it,
Yeah.
so.
I think we're good.
I hope so. Okay, thank you. We'll be putting that on the agenda. Let me know, Bart or Jason, when you need to get that on the agenda, okay? Craig and I will make sure it's in. Okay.
And then I just, in January, I sent out some board training opportunities that are coming up. One of them is just around the corner. It's the UAMPS workshop that's at the same week as, League of Cities and Towns. It's the Wednesday. That one's just around the corner. If you need us to secure that day's room for you so you can go down and attend that workshop, just let us know and we'll get that room secured for you.
I'm sorry now.
Do we know when UAMPS is,
Are you
the
gonna do
UAMPS conference?
I'm sorry.
The UAMPS
ULCT.
conference is in
Is that in
August.
St. George?
Yes, in April.
I can tell you, let me, yeah,
There's a lot of
hold
good
up.
things to learn
I think it's August
It's a good meeting.
Yeah.
22nd, yeah.
there.
It's in Logan this year,
It's in Logan.
22nd, 23rd.
It's a half
Are
day
you
meeting.
gonna go?
Oh, here, I'll, just a second, Ken, I'll tell you.
It's a
Okay.
half day meeting.
This meeting is, but then the ULCT's the Thursday and the Friday half day. All day Thursday and half
Ken,
day.
what's
Wednesday night too.
23rd, 24th.
Dinner Wednesday night.
It's a party.
So that's Sunday,
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday.
I don't know if that's a party.
Is it a party?
Yeah.
I never go on
It's
a Wednesday.
dinner.
It's not a party.
So yeah, the workshop will be Wednesday, the 22nd in St. George. So if you guys need a room to be down there for it, because I know you probably, if you're going to League of Cities and Towns, and the city's probably got you a room for what, 23rd, 24th.
Yeah.
So we would get that room for the 22nd or the 21st and 22nd, if that's what you want to do. Just let me or Riley know, and we'll get you some rooms secured for that. And then in June, the APPA National Conference is in Boston, and it's from the 28th through July 1st. And I need to know fairly soon on that, so we get room secured on that one too.
What's your deadline on that, please?
Oh,
Reasonably.
I think the one hotel is full. I booked through the UAMPS booking because UAMPS board goes, and I'm in the overflow hotel, so anyways.
That's those tents out
Is it
back.
in New York?
I indicated I'd like to.
Boston.
I'd like to go to that, but just like we did with New Orleans, you can put me in any hotel. I can walk or get an Uber or something. I think we
Okay.
saved a couple $100 last time by putting me in that other hotel, which was fun.
So go for you,
I would like to go.
okay.
I'd
What's
be
that one?
interested.
I thought that was really useful.
National APPA, American Power Association.
They had quite a few classes about like succession planning and resource management. I thought it was really useful.
Rates, wildfires.
That one did have a party though. I don't know.
That
Party.
Dinner?
I'm just
That overflow bookings, those tents in the back parking lot, is that where they are?
In
Out
Boston.
there with the Boston homeless, I'm sure there's a good contingent of them in that city. I've not been there, but I'm just assuming.
Gotcha. Okay, so let Jason know as soon as possible if you're interested in either of those opportunities. Anything else, Jason?
I know, did you go over August, the UAMPS member conference?
I just forwarded everyone the save the date email from UAMPS.
Do we need to register for that too?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay, cause
It's in
I think I
Logan.
tried and it wasn't open, okay.
Yeah, it said invitations will come out in May.
Okay, once they get through with this other stuff. Okay, are we ready for closed session?
I am.
All right, who'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for personnel, pending litigation, or the purchase or sale of real property?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
I'll second.
thank you. We have to do this by roll call because they take records that way, so Aaron, we'll start with you.
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you, that passes. We're in closed session.
Motion come out of closed session.
Thank you, Kendall.
I'll second.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
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 Okay, that's 6-0. Okay, we are,
You're good,
Done.
Bart just joined to,
okay,
do his.
good.
Who's doing this?
Bart, I appreciate your stuff.
Anybody that wants some
Oh, Kendall.
board training on finances, feel free to
Are
stay.
we
If
going
you
to have
don't,
another joint meeting?
you don't have to.